Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be playing with a ranged cards only deck. Now, this is maybe the third or fourth time I've done this challenge, I think, but each time I keep getting better with it, and I think this is honestly the best ranged cards only deck that I've ever used, so I think you're going to really enjoy this video. So the cards I chose to use here, as you can see, I did count the dragon as a ranged card. It sort of looks like it's a melee card, but if you look under its abilities, it is actually it has a ranged attack, so I chose to use that, and then I also chose sort of a balanced setup with some mana cards. So I guess it's not totally just ranged cards, but without the mana cards, it really is much less effective, because the entire deck really works around the dragon, which, again, you know, some people could say, well, that's not necessarily a ranged card, but it is really technically a ranged card. So the ability, really the strategy, is that the dragon acts as the tanking card, and as well as some of the other cards, the Ape Pirate can act as a tanking card, even though it does move backwards. And then I've got the Catapult to finish them off, and I've got the Enchanter as a card to delay my opponent or assist with blocking for the Catapult. So you can see here in this first match, I get the dragon out, and it does basically have a ranged attack, because it's able to get off like one attack before your opponent can get a melee attack off. So it pretty much always gets to attack first against a melee card, and really just having a lot of success here. You can even see using the Ape Pirate to block for the Catapult. The Ape Pirate does move backwards, but it still gives time for a ranged card to be able to do some work before it gets back to that point. So was looking interesting here, because my opponent, as it turns out, has Gust of Wind, and I was starting to get nervous here. And then the Fire Elemental, but look at that, I blew the Fire Elemental right in front of the dragon. That was such a clutch play with the Enchanter, and they're pushing hard in that bottom lane. I'm just working my best to delay them, because right there I should have really played the Catapult. I was just trying to focus down the cards they were playing, but yeah, ended up working out anyways. So quick victory chest. As you can see, I had a couple of good cards there, I guess. And I also was using the Archer's Tribe as a card that could block, because it, you know, against melee cards, you know, it can be a couple of hits. So kind of works out a little bit. And it was able to soak up that Ice Elemental. But again, trying to be aggressive with the Catapults. The Phoenix can also kind of tank a little bit, because, I mean, the Phoenix is like 2 or 3 hits. So, I mean, considering, taking into account the egg form, it's like 2 or 3 hits. So that is enough, especially with a Catapult, to be able to do a little bit of extra damage. I was even blocking with the Shaman there for the Catapult. I mean, really, the Catapult's a powerful card, and you don't always need that much to be able to block. So here again, you can see, I mean, they play a Mud Elemental. My thought process here in this match was to try and get things out there in case they played a Metamorph, which was exactly what they had. But because I'd played those Archers, the Archer Tribe, they couldn't really go for the Metamorph until they got rid of some more things or played some more cards, because the odds would be that they would get the Archer. So oftentimes when I see a Mud Elemental, the Mud Elemental is most commonly used, as far as I can tell, in Metamorph decks. So whenever I see the Mud Elemental, it's usually assigned to me to try and play something that they wouldn't want to Metamorph. So that's what I tried to do there, and it seemed to work pretty well. Here I was just trying to sort of offset what they were playing. Not really the smartest set of plays, but I did a good job of just kind of keeping the match kind of even, so I could keep my positioning and be ready to set up those 2 Catapults, because I could see I was going to need positioning on the board here to get them played within range. And the ideal spot, of course, to play it is, you know, behind the dragon. So I got one behind the dragon, and then I was able to get ready for another one. and I also have another enchanter available to delay them, so the game is pretty much over at this point because even if they came at me, I could have used my enchanter. So that worked out pretty well, honestly. And again, here you can see Unchained Demon. I did exactly the right thing. They had a metamorph. I played my Archer's Tribe, and it kind of prevented them from having any reason to use the metamorph because they weren't going to get their card more than likely. So pretty much Unchained Demon or Mud Elemental are both cards that are highly used with metamorph. So once you start to recognize cards that your opponent's going to have in their deck, you can see now here, once they got rid of the archers, then they play the metamorph, and they managed to get it that time. So this match looked like it was going to go downhill pretty quick from there. You know, they metamorphed a pretty strong card that was already even stronger, and they just made the one in the empty lane really strong. I don't have a gust of wind or anything to really move the card off of my castle, except for the dragon, and I happened to draw the dragon. If I'd not drawn a dragon, I definitely would have lost. So that was an extremely lucky draw, and I just start throwing everything at the middle lane, because the one in the top lane is fairly small, so I know it's not going to destroy my castle instantly. It's really the one in the middle lane that was the biggest threat, and it was important to recognize that rather than spreading out over those two lanes, just to focus down the middle lane one. And that's what I was able to do, and now we have an advantage. And from here on out, it's pretty much done. That was impressive, though, managing to take down at least three Unchained Demons. Especially once they metamorphed that one and they had a 2-on-1. I mean, that was a pretty good comeback for me. I really had some great matches with this deck, especially surprisingly against metamorph decks a lot of the time. I think partly because I had some cards that really weren't super great for them to metamorph, such as, you know, the Archer's Tribe in particular. And right there, they used the metamorph on a Phoenix, which isn't the worst card to use it on, but, you know, it wasn't giving them any sort of major advantage, really. Assuming I could sort of delay until the mid to end game. And I just really had to survive the initial pushes in a lot of these decks. And then once I could get closer to the Dragon or the Valkyrie, I was usually in pretty good position. So here again, it looked like they had a pretty good advantage, but I was just trying to kind of stay in it. That wasn't really the best play with the Pirate. I should have played it in top lane. Although it ended up actually working out okay in the end, as I completely do get that lane with the Archer's Tribe. And, you know, just it's interesting not having any tank cards. That's probably one of the biggest things about the ranged-only challenge, except for the Dragon. Because the Dragon is one of the few technically ranged cards that is actually basically a tank. So I really had to use the Dragon to the best of my abilities, and anytime a dragon was out there, I had to be fully committed to making that Dragon, you know, getting the full value out of that Dragon. And getting the full value, like right here, out of those two Archer Queens. And unfortunately, the Archer Queens were just out of range of that Black Witch, and I had nothing to counter with. So that was unfortunate, and that kept them in this match. Some of these plays right here kept them in this match. But I was relentless at trying to just be patient, because I recognized that I pretty much had them. I just had to not seriously mess up and just try to play against what they were playing. So I kind of just kept my wits about me here and tried to just continue to focus on defeating what they were playing and putting as much pressure on their castle as possible. And I was able to get pretty close to picking this up. Boneyard is annoying just because it blocks the lanes like that, so they were getting some damage in here on me, and I think they thought they had this. But they had to try and block that Pirate in the top lane, and They do, but then they just couldn't really cover all 3 lanes. So I managed to pull that one out. Pretty good stuff right there. Like many of these matches, was actually pretty surprised at how well this deck played. I think this is definitely my best ranged only deck that I've ever played with for this challenge. Partly because of the dragon being in there, but I think I tried to build the deck around the dragon this time. And, you know, building the deck around a particular strategy definitely helped a lot more. Again, this match looks bad, but with the Mud Elemental rushing my base. But the reality is, I have an Enchanter and a Dragon. The Mud Elemental is just such a dangerous card. But you can see right here, a sweet move with the Enchanter to buy myself the time to get the Dragon out there. And, I mean, the Dragon was just such a key card. And then the ability to take down a really difficult stack. I just absolutely piled it onto that middle lane and was barely able to break through there. And now they have another Mud Elemental at the castle, and basically the Dragon's ability to blow the cards back combined with the Enchanter were like the only things that were really saving me, because otherwise I had no space to really even play ranged cards. So I was just impressed how well I did with this deck against Mud Elemental decks with Metamorph, as well as that Unchained Demon deck, because those are usually decks that are really hard for my typical normal strategies to play against. So I thought this one, especially considering it, you know, has a Catapult as a finishing card, it was pretty interesting how well it did against decks like that. And yeah, so that's going to wrap up this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed this challenge, because I thought it was pretty fun, and I was pretty excited about those matches just in terms of like how well the deck performed. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments, and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to the channel. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.